Welcome, fight fans. We're back again. I think we're on the 7th episode of BLÜ-FC now. Today, we're going to be doing UFC Vegas 37. That's Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann. But before we do that, what we're going to do is, because of course we didn't have any fights last week, we're going to talk about the Contender Series, but not the one this week, sadly, because I don't watch them live on Tuesday, sadly. I watch them on Thursday or Friday. So instead of doing this week's Contender Series, we're going to talk about last week's Contender Series. So we will start with that. I always press the wrong thing. I've got two computers here. I always start with the wrong one. Okay. So we're starting off with the Contender Series last week. And the first one was Chad Anheliger and Gafarov. I'll just go through them quick because it's the Contender Series. Not everybody watches them, so we'll just go through them quick. It's something we can talk about. And the first one, also, they were really good fights last week. So it started off with a Canadian, Chad Anheliger. He won a split decision, which means we've got a new Canadian fighter in the UFC. That's what I like to see. And he was a huge underdog. He was, I believe it was a 6-1 underdog. And it was a really close fight. He looked great. And honestly, I'd like to see the other guy again too. I'm sure they'll give him something again. If not a fight on the Contender Series again, maybe they'll give him a chance. I'm not sure. But yeah, Chad Anheliger, new Canadian fighter, looked great. Excuse me. After that, we had Carlos Vergara and Bruno Correa. Vergara, another underdog. He got a wild first round win. Honestly, one of the craziest body shot TKOs I've ever seen. You don't normally see wins by a body shot, and that one was brutal. He landed a huge knee, and Correa fell right away. Right away. You don't usually see that. The flyweights definitely have got to watch out for that one. I definitely want to see him again too. He's pretty good, especially since we don't have too many flyweights that we see all the time. So it's nice to have another one. I like that. Also, the flyweights off the Contender Series have actually been pretty good. I think there was Alex Perez was one of them. So yeah, new flyweight. That's what I like to see too. And after that, we had Simon Oliveira and Jose Aldo. That's confusing because there's Jose Aldo and then Charles Oliveira. Anyway, this one was a really back and forth fight. They were okay, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was really only close because they had some huge flaws and strategic errors. And honestly, I'm actually a little surprised that Dana gave out that contract on this one. But I will say the third round was pretty awesome. So maybe that's what turned it around for Dana. I don't know. But nothing too crazy with those two. I don't know. And after that, we had Chidi and Jokuani and wow, I was going to say Mario Sosa. And what did we talk about last week? We talked about illegal strikes, groin strikes, eye pokes. We didn't get any eye pokes, but we got groin strikes aplenty here. And these were legitimately two of the worst groin strikes I've ever seen. Honestly, might have been 3 groin strikes actually, all in the same round. Come on, people. Honestly, I mean, one of them, the first one, I was like, okay, he moved. The guy moved, so he kicked him. Okay. But the other two, come on. But he did get a point deducted, so it's okay. It wasn't anything crazy like those eye pokes the other week, but still, come on. 3 in the same round. Do better than that, people. Anyway, and Joe Kuani looked amazing the whole fight, and he won. I want to see this guy again. He is really good, and I think they were saying they said this a couple times that his brother also got. I don't know if he got a contract from the Contender Series, but I think he is in the UFC, and they were talking a lot about him too. So that's pretty cool. I like seeing brothers in there, and he's pretty good. So I definitely want to see him again too. And the last one was Josh Quinlan and Logan Urban. This was a holy shit kind of win for Josh Quinlan. He got a huge KO, and he rocked the other guy a couple times before that too. I can't wait to see him again. He looked really good. Honestly, last week was a really good week for the Contender Series. I liked it. I mean, the show is always pretty good, but when 4 out of the 5 fights are like, oh, wow, okay, then you got something good here. Before we move on, I would like to say one other thing about the Contender Series so far, and it's a little bit surprising, not going to lie. I didn't like Laura Sanko that much last year. Like, I was just kind of like, and maybe it's because I miss Megan O'Leary. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm not a huge Laura Sanko fan. But I will say, after watching her, especially last week, she's been really impressing me. She's been way better than some of the other people they've had on to commentate. I think they should really give her more events. She's been really good. Maybe even give her a fight night in Vegas. She is great. I mean, I don't want her to replace Bisping or Felder or John Anik, but maybe replace some of the other ones. I don't know. But yeah, she's been doing really well. Good for her. I like to see that. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do a quick ad break before we talk about the UFC for this week. Only about 30 seconds. You won't miss me too much. We'll be right back after this.
Allow me to introduce High Stick Vodka, a new way to celebrate victory. Gather around the glass with an award-winning, ultra-premium Canadian-made vodka. You probably won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka has a smooth, hard-hitting taste, or that it's developed in the birthplace of hockey. You won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka is a tribute to the game of hockey, or when I tell you it's distilled 4 times using Canada's purest mountain spring water to provide an authentic, remarkable flavor. But maybe you will listen when I say it comes in a f***ing hockey stick. Showcase your passion for hockey with our limited edition hand-blown hockey stick bottle. Whether you're celebrating victory or drinking to defeat, High Stick Vodka is better after every shot. Visit us at highstickvodka.com. It also comes in this regular bottle. Celebrate victory. Drink responsibly.
And we're back. See, nice and quick. So now, of course, we'll get to the main part of what we're talking about. UFC Vegas 37, Anthony Smith, Ryan Spann on Saturday, September 18th, which, by the way, is my birthday. Just saying. Not that I need anything, but maybe a nice shout out on Twitter or something. That might be kind of nice. Anyway, enough about me. The main card, of course, we always start with the main card. We got the first one, which is Joaquin Buckley and Antonio Arroyo. For this one, we've got Antonio Arroyo with a 2-fight losing streak to Darren Wynn and Andre Muniz. Okay, nobody crazy there. And Joaquin Buckley, he lost to DeCurico, last time, which I mentioned in another episode, because of that insane head kick, which, as I said, definitely you should look that up. It's insane. Before that, he beat Jordan Wright. And just before that, he had one of the greatest KOs of all time. You saw it all over the highlights for months, and it was even nominated for KO of the year. It might have actually even won KO of the year. I'm not quite sure. I should really look that up. It was his jump spinning back kick against Impa Kasanganay, who, by the way, is also fighting tonight. But just before that, he lost to the one and only Kevin Holland. So to me, the obvious choice here is Joaquin Buckley. He doesn't really go to decisions much, but Arroyo has never been knocked out. So this could go either way on the finish. I mean, not on the finish. It could either be a finish or a decision. Not quite sure on this one, but I will go with a finish because of his power. He's also got a huge reach advantage too. So, of course, we'll look at the odds here. I'll quickly throw up where you can see these. You go to Bet99, of course. That's where we get all of our odds. And if you check out the odds for this one, we've got Buckley at -213 and Arroyo at +171. So it seems like people are seeing it the same way. And I mean, it's hard to argue with that because, again, like I said, you've got Joaquin Buckley, who actually has a fairly decent resume. And then you've got Antonio Arroyo, who's lost 2 in a row. So, yeah, I think if not a finish, we're still going to see Buckley winning here, I would say. I think that's the safe one here. After that, we've got Nathan Manis and Tony Gravely. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Could be Gravely. Not sure. Nate Manis, I don't remember him really, but he's only got 1 loss, and he hasn't lost in the UFC yet. I kind of remember Tony Gravely. But what was I going to say here? He's won his last 2 in the UFC. So this honestly could go either way for me. It's really a toss-up. I don't know too much about either one. But Nate Manis has the extra reach. Gravely has more experience. The odds here, if you look again at the Bet99, they say Gravely at -209 and Manis at +166. I'm going to go with the odds and the extra reach and go with Nate Manis on this one. But again, honestly, this could go either way. I don't know much about these two. By the way, if you have any comments or questions, you can always leave those in the comments. I read them. I can even reply here on the stream. I love to see comments. We haven't gotten too many recently, which is too bad. But anyway, I'm going Gravely by decision because, again, it's so close. I always go with a decision when it's really close like that. But this might be a chance to bet on an underdog. Like I said, I don't see this as completely one-sided. So, I mean, like I said, Manis has only lost once. Not a bad choice to bet on an underdog if you really want to bet on one today. Or Saturday, I should say. So that might be an option too. I'm not opposed to it. After that, we've got Arman Tsarukyan and Christos Giagos. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm not quite sure again. Tsarukyan is ranked 14th, and honestly, I think he could beat some of the fighters above him. He is a beast. And on the other side, we've got Giagos, who is on a 2-fight win streak, but not against anybody amazing. This seems to me, honestly, like kind of a mismatched fight. I mean, Tsarukyan is really good. Like I said, he could beat a few of the people above him too, honestly. And I mean, if you look at the odds, wild. If you check out the Bet99 odds, biggest favorite of the night, he's at -750. -750. And Giagos is +500. That is wild. So, I mean, I'm obviously giving Tsarukyan the win. Even the odds aside, I think it's pretty clear. A finish for Tsarukyan. That's how I'm going. So here, if you're going to bet, I would say you got to probably throw it on some kind of parlay. There's a few actually that are pretty one-sided tonight. So we'll go over this later. But yeah, there's a few that are wildly one-sided today. So maybe you want to throw some parlays together, or maybe bet on the finish instead of just Sarukian winning. You could bet on a Sarukian finish. I think that's a fairly comfortable bet too. And we of course don't have the odds yet for that because we're streaming on a Wednesday. They don't post those until I think it's about Friday. So I don't have the odds for that, sadly. But yes, I would take that bet. I would take that bet. On the next one, we've got finally a female fight to talk about. We haven't really talked about too many in the women's MMA side for quite a while, which is too bad, honestly. I wish there was a lot more. We've got Ariane Lipski, who, by the way, is one of my favorite female fighters. She's so good. And versus Mandy Bohm. I don't know really who that is. But as I said, I'm a fan of Ariane Lipski, but she's had a rough couple of fights, the last couple of fights, but she is very good. Mandy Bohm, this is her first UFC fight, but she's also undefeated. So to me, this is really actually a toss-up. This really could go either way. The odds on this one, again, on Bet99, we've got minus 118 for Lipski, minus 105 for Bohm. This is very, very close. But honestly, yes, I said I'm a fan of Ariane Lipski. I want her to win, but she seems to honestly be going kind of downhill, and I don't like that in terms of the betting. And Bohm is undefeated. You always have to remember an undefeated fighter is a completely different story. I mean, sure, again, it's her first fight in the UFC. So there's so many factors on this one. So I see why the odds are so close. I'm going for Mandy Bohm. Yes, this is her first UFC fight, but she's undefeated. Lipski's kind of going on her way down. I've got to go to Bohm. I think it's going to be a really close fight, though. It's going to be one that you want to see, too. Also, it's really, again, it's the only female fight on the main card. But yeah, I'm going Bohm by decision because I don't think either one of them is going to get the finish. I could be wrong. It could be Lipski might get finished. Either one of them could honestly get finished. Like I said, I think it's going to be a really close one. But you don't want to miss it. That is for sure. Next, we've got the co-main. We've got, I can't remember if it's Ion Cutelaba or Iwan. I feel like they keep saying that it's Iwan Cutelaba, so that's what I'm going to say. I would say Ion just the way it looks, but again, I'm going to go with what they usually say on TV, I think. So we've got Iwan Cutelaba and Devin Clark in the co-main event. Cutelaba had a draw in his last one, then 2 losses in a row before that, but it was against Magomed Ankalaev, who's pretty good. So before that, I mean, on the other side, we've got Devin Clark, who's lost his last one, which was to the headliner, Anthony Smith, of course. So I do think this one is also going to be pretty close. I mean, Iwan is pretty good. Like I said, he got a draw in his last one. He lost to Ankalaev twice before that, and there's no shame in that. He's pretty good. And Devin Clark lost to Anthony Smith, and Anthony Smith has been on his way up. We'll talk about that later, of course, because he is in the main event. So yeah, I think this is going to be close. But after watching Cutelaba the last 2 times, I think, as a person, just for who he is, I just can't see him losing this. I really can't. I think he's going to come out with everything he has, with a vengeance. He is not one of those people that respects getting a draw. And he definitely did not want to lose either one of those to Ankalaev because he was not happy with that at all. I remember watching that, and he was pissed. So I think that he's going to come back with a crazy vengeance, and I think he's going to win. Not only that, but I think he's going to get a finish here. I really do. He's going to come back. He's pissed. And if you look at the odds, you've got minus 148 for Cutelaba and plus 120 for Devin Clark. So they see it pretty close. I also see it very close, but like I said, especially because of that backstory. And yes, he's also pretty strong. I'm going to give it to Kutelaba. Also, I mean, Devin Clark got finished pretty easily by Anthony Smith. I mean, yes, Anthony Smith is way higher up there, but you got to remember that too. So yes, for that, I see Kutelaba by a finish. Next up, we've got the main, which of course is Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann. This one, I hate to say, I've gone back and forth on this one a couple of times for good reason. Ryan Spann ranked 11th. He just beat Misha Serkinov. He lost to Johnny Walker before that. He's a bit younger than Anthony Smith, which honestly doesn't really matter, but he does have a bit of an extra reach. And on the other side, and this is why I've been flipping back and forth on this one, Anthony Smith can be somewhat unpredictable, especially his last 4 or 5 or so fights. But in the last 2, he's turned it around. He's dominated. I think that's what he needed. And he's on his way up. I think he needed, especially that fight, I think it was against Glover, where honestly, it seemed like he wanted to quit. I'm pretty sure he even said he wanted to quit mid-fight. And I think he needed that. He needed something to push him, to convince him that he wanted to keep doing this, wanted to push for the belt and get better and all of that. So for me, I'm giving the edge to Anthony Smith on this one. He's also, you got to remember, he's very well-rounded. He is way more experienced than Ryan Spann, wildly more experienced. It's not even close. And I think he's putting it back together to eventually get a title shot if he wins another one after this one. So to me, I think that's why I went with Anthony Smith on this one. But I will say, I could see Ryan Spann getting it, but there's just so much going for Anthony Smith. I've got to go for him. And if you look at the odds, again, on Bet99, you've got Anthony Smith at minus 175 and Ryan Spann at plus 142. So they're definitely leaning that way too. And I mean, you kind of normally see that, especially when it's somebody as well-known as Anthony Smith. And you've also got to remember that he's done way more 5-rounders too. I don't know if Ryan Spann has ever done a 5-rounder, at least not in the UFC. I'm not sure. He might have once. So you got to consider all that kind of stuff too. And I think that's why, of course, the odds makers are going that way, and the people as well, of course. So that's it for the main card. Of course, as always, I like to talk about some prelims, and lucky us for this one, we've actually got 1, 2, 3, I believe. Yep. 3 that I want to talk about because the prelims are actually looking very good for this, which is odd for a UFC Vegas fight night. Normally, the prelims, I mean, I'm not saying they're bad. They're never bad. But it's not usually people that we've seen quite a bit before. And they're not usually fights to get excited about. There's usually 1, maybe 2. Today we've got 3, maybe even a 4th one. So we'll talk about all of those. We've got the first one I want to mention is another women's MMA fight, thankfully. We've got Penny Kianzad and Raquel Pennington. Originally, when I saw this, I went Pennington all the way because I know how good she is. I like her too. She's really cool. She got to the 5th round against Amanda Nunes. Not everyone can say that. That is very impressive. But recently, I'm not entirely sure. She got a decision against Marion Renault, and she lost quite possibly the most boring fight I have ever seen in my life against Holly Holm. And that is not a knock against Pennington. She had nothing to do with that being boring. That was all Holly Holm. I believe that was the one where they were clinched against the fence for, I'm not even kidding, I believe it was 12 minutes out of the 15 minutes. Come on. And even the announcers, I mean, you always get the crowd booing when there's too much clinching against the fence. But when you have all of the announcers saying, ref, get them off the fence, you got to do something. And it wasn't even on the ground. It was against the fence for 13 minutes. And even Dana White commented after how boring it was. But anyway, we're not going to be talking too much about that. again, that's not her fault. Anyway, on the other side, we've got Kianzad, who's won 4 in a row, and she's ranked number 12, but she's also never fought anybody super elite. So, like I said, Pennington's definitely got that experience boost on her by quite a bit. I mean, you got Nunes, you got Holm, even Renault, honestly. And I think there were even a couple more names on there that were looking pretty good. And honestly, I have no idea why Pennington is not currently ranked. I thought maybe I was reading the rankings wrong. I don't think so, though. I looked it up just before this. She is not on the UFC rankings. So I don't know if something happened behind the scenes. Maybe they forgot to put her in there. I don't know what happened. It's weird because her last fight, she lost to, what did I say it was? I think that was the Holly Holm one, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and then the decision against Marion Renault. So, I mean, she lost to Holly Holm, beat Marion Renault, and she's not ranked. That's weird. That's really weird. I don't know why she's not in there. But anyway, so based on that experience, I'm definitely giving Pennington the edge. And besides that, like I said, I've seen her fight before. She is really good when she's not being clinched against the fence by Holly Holm, of course. But that also is why Holly Holm did that, is because Pennington is so good on her feet, especially. So you've got to consider that. If Kianzad doesn't clinch her against the fence, I think she's going to get the win. So yeah, I'm definitely leaning that way. I'm going for the decision, especially since you don't see too many finishes in women's MMA, unless, of course, you're Shevchenko or Amanda Nunes. So I'm definitely going with the decision on that. Excuse me. And for the odds, they also see it very close. We've got plus 105 for Kianzad and minus 132 for Pennington. So they see that very close. Honestly, I would probably throw a few bucks at Pennington. I'm not going to lie. Those are pretty decent odds for your taking there. You might want to take advantage of that. And that's why I want to see this one. I definitely recommend watching this one on the prelims. And that's why I was talking about it. Because, again, I like Pennington. Anyway, up after that, in terms of the ones I want to talk about anyway, we've got Montel Jackson and JP Bays. Honestly, when I first saw this, I thought this was a pretty interesting one. I know how good Montel Jackson is, and JP Bays just got his contract from the Contender Series, and I thought he won after that. But he didn't. This might be, which leads me to believe, quite rightfully, I would say, that this is another wildly mismatched one. Jackson, I mean, has quite like a wildly better resume, and he's looked very good recently. I think he's going to get a finish here. I'm bringing this one up, not just because Montel Jackson looks good, but because I think it'll be fun to watch, and because of those parlays I was talking about before. Because if you look at the odds, this is the second biggest, what do you call that? Favorite of the night. Montel Jackson is at minus 650 and JP Bays is at plus 450. So, I mean, that's, again, wildly one-sided. So what I was saying before, you've got Sarukian at minus 750. You've got Jackson at 650. I would parlay that together with one of the other ones maybe that I was talking about before that I was pretty confident about. You could pair that, I would say, even with Buckley. Buckley's a good choice there at minus 213. Parlay those three together. There's also two other ones that are very one-sided that I didn't really look into, but if you're going to go just based purely on the odds, Aaron Blanchfield is a minus 325 favorite against Sarah Alpar, who's plus 250. So you might want to throw it there. And there's also a fourth one, Nicholas Mata against Cameron Van Camp. Mata is at minus 313 and Van Camp is plus 240. So, I mean, if you're going just stringing the odds together and you don't care about any kind of experience or my input whatsoever, because I don't know about those last two that I talked about, you could even, you could string those together. Go Blanchfield, Jackson, Mata, maybe even Buckley, and Sarukian. A 4 or 5 fight parlay with those odds, you know, if you're feeling really good about the favorites tomorrow or Saturday, that could be very good. If not, for Jackson, again, I was going to go with the finish. I mean, minus 650 favorite. Also, Jackson looks so good. He is very, very good. And JP Bays lost his first fight in the UFC after being on the Contender Series. I think he even got finished. So I think a finish is pretty likely here. So I'm going to say if you're going to bet on something and don't want to do the parlays, just bet on a Jackson finish here. That's a safe one too. I like that. I like that one a lot. Or, oh yeah, I even wrote that down. If you're feeling really lucky, you could even throw $5 on JP Bays. I don't know. Maybe. I probably wouldn't do it because I know how good Jackson is, but maybe. Pretty unpredictable after just getting a, contender contract and then maybe, well, I don't know if it was a decision or not, but he did lose his first one. But yeah, I recommend the parlay or betting on a Jackson finish here. And the last one I want to talk about is Impa Kasanganay. And like I mentioned earlier, I said we were going to talk about him. And versus Carlston Harris. This last one I'm bringing up because I've seen Impa in all of his UFC fights. This man, by the way, is possibly one of the most shredded human beings I have ever seen. He is a complete monster. I mean, honestly, just saying, by the way, he also has the most wholesome religious posts I've ever seen on social media. But when you see him in the cage or just see a picture of him, he is a beast. Think of Francis Ngannou, but in this division. I mean, he is absolutely shredded. Now, on the other side, we've got Harris. He's on a 4-fight win streak, which is great, but only one of those is in the UFC. So, I mean, really, is it really a 4-fight win streak? We're talking about basically a 1-fight win streak here, because when you're not in the UFC, it's you can't even really, compare that really, unless they're undefeated or something, Anyway, so of course, I'm going to go with Impa this one. He's got more experience. And by the way, he was undefeated before he got KO'd in that absolutely insane KO we talked about earlier with Joaquin Buckley. But before that, he was completely unstoppable. And honestly, I think the odds are great for you on this one. They really are. I mean, they've got Kasanganay, Impa. They've got him at minus 125 and Carlston at plus 100. They're saying this is basically a toss-up. I really don't think it is. So I'm thinking Impa might even get a finish, maybe more likely to be a decision. But I mean, this is one that you really definitely would want to throw some money on. I really like Kasanganay on this one. Throw some money on Impa. That is my advice. That is the last fight that we're going to be talking about today. As always, oh yeah, we'll flip off the thing here. As always, my socials are linked below. My Twitter is BLBeard2. My Insta is BLÜBEARD427. My YouTube is BLÜ-FC. My Twitch is BLÜBEARD-FC. Again, it's all linked below. And if you want to hear about all the other sports, the Area 51 network, which is on my hat, has coverage of all of that. You can check out the other channels in the group as well. Also, if you go and check our link, which is area51sportsnetwork.com/betting. I'll show it again. Here you are. If you go to that link, you can get an instant sign-up bonus of, I believe it's $600 to throw in the way of some of the favorites that I said today. Throw some parlays together. Throw it towards the ones that I was saying, especially Impa. I think that is a great one to take advantage of. I think the odds makers made a mistake on that one. definitely take advantage of that one. But yeah, if you want to see any of the other sports, baseball, hockey, whatever, go to the Area 51 website. They've got all of that. We will see you next week, of course. Anthony Smith, Ryan Spann, this Saturday. It's also my birthday. Tweet at me, say happy birthday. Hope that I get all my picks right this week. Wouldn't that be quite a birthday present? Anyway, I will see you next week, where, of course, we will be talking about the pay-per-view UFC 266, which is Volkanovski Ortega. I cannot wait for that one. I will see you then. Where is my thing here that I was going to click? Oh yeah, here. I will, again, click on the boosted odds thing. It'll tell you all about the Area 51 network. I will see you next time.